So why is it important for a feminist blog to be a public blog?
So it's important or valuable for a campus feminist blog to be a public blog because it encourages, I think, reflection and growth and development on how students are growing and developing their own feminism, but also connecting that with the social activism and social engagement element that's really important to being a feminist, right, and to understanding one's feminism. So making that blog public allows students, again, this opportunity to engage not just in the safe space of the community, right, but to start to have conversations that span, the community of bloggers, the campus that we're on, and then larger feminist communities. What do you guys think about having the blog be public versus a private, say, class blog?
I think, honestly, we get the benefits of both. From it not being private, we're reaching more people. We have more people who can understand where we're coming from, who may have more ties to what we're believing rather than some of our fellow bloggers, because all of our feminisms can tend to be different. So it's really nice to have a public sphere where you're getting that affirmation, where the whole personal is political, where this isn't just my problem. Other people on other campuses, on other states, are experiencing the same thing that I am. So it's great in that sense for your growing feminism to have that. But I think we also get to benefit from a private kind of sector, not necessarily a private spot of the blog, but just within our group itself. We are, the 1970s feminist consciousness raising groups where we sit down and we talk about issues that are coming up. We talk about our blog posts. We talk about where things are differing, or how can we get past this, or what do you think our plan of goal should be. So I think we really get the best of both worlds. We have that private sphere where we can get close to one another and really learn from each other, but then we also can take what we're developing privately and make it more public so that we can reach more people and more people understand, and we can get that validation and affirmation from that.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like really you're trying to benefit from both traditional face-to-face consciousness raising and some elements of that by having a cohesive group that meets every week, that talks about your blog ideas, in addition to having the opportunity of a public blog that then is part of a more modern online future of feminism kind of model. And so I wonder if you think that the kind of consciousness raising that happens with the group would be the same, or would benefit, or would have drawbacks if it was only digital, like if it was purely digital and you didn't have the weekly face-to-face meetings.
I think there would be just an element that's a little bit lost. While I think, the digital space is a great space to have these conversations, and, with the expansion of technology, more information has been able to get around the world, and we can benefit from that. But I do think a little bit is lost when you don't have that face-to-face aspect of it. I think blogging in a digital sphere is a great tool, but if you're never, I can tell everyone on my blog that, hey, we need to get together, or we need to fight patriarchy, or we need to do whatever part of a movement, but if no one shows up to the events, if no one really participates, then you're not getting anything done. I think it's a great tool to have conversation, especially with the commenting back and forth, and you can have conversations that you may not have been able to have. Mm-hmm. But I really appreciate the face-to-face aspect of it.
Yeah. I'm thinking about an example this week with a student who wrote about diversity or lack of diversity in student organization on campus and had a huge online response. And the information you shared with me about her coming back to the community of bloggers at your meeting, at your face-to-face time, to get support and talk through what the response has been, I think is a really good, interesting example of the way that for feminists on college campuses who are developing their voice and trying to enter into having more public conversations, to be able to go back, right, to that community face-to-face to get support for how to do that in a more public digital space seems like a really important element.
No, it is. It's, when we had this diversity post up, she did have a lot of like online support, but it's from necessary people she didn't know, which was great. But at the same time, to be able to come back and just have people that be like, I'm here, like if you need to talk about this, if you want help doing other, posts, or if you want help doing other activities in regard to this, we're here for you. It's great to have real life, support system with you as well.
Yeah. On that note, maybe you could talk a little bit about who you see as the audience for the student-run feminist blog.
First and foremost, I think our audience should be the JMU campus, because we are a JMU class. And, the post that we have about diversity, the post that we had about it's called A League of Their Own. It was talking about sports on campus. One of my highest ranked posts was talking about a new JMU policy. The posts that get the most hits are the ones that are talking about our community. And I think it's really important for us to realize that and to target that, because this is our school. This is where we're getting our education. This is where we're spending 4 or 5 years of our life. And we can have an impact. And I think one of the biggest things that students don't realize is how much of an impact they can have, because, we are everyone else's. If there weren't the students, there wouldn't be a college. Mm-hmm. So it's really great to target them just because it's relevant. It's what we care about. But then the awesome part is to start the conversation at JMU, but then go to other colleges and other college campuses. Going back to that whole personal is political, where you find out, you're like, we're having these really, sexist parties, like CEOs and office hoes and things like that. And to know that at another school, they're having to deal with the exact same thing. And to be able to rely on them or communicate with them, like, what are you doing to stop this? Like, how are you communicating about this? It's really an awesome feeling to know that you're getting not only your community, but other college campuses. And, the ultimate goal is, once you start a conversation, the ripple effect, where these students will take it back to their hometowns and talk about issues and see things that are going wrong. Or they'll graduate and be going into the workforce and be like, I don't think this is right. We need to change this. So it's really the hope for the ripple effect, but I think it has to start at home, because it makes the biggest ripple here, and then it can go out from there. So.
Definitely. I'm thinking also about a recent blogger who did a video blog interview with someone, a feminist on another college campus, right? And so finding those chances to connect with other feminists on other college campus and give each other voice and visibility seems really powerful. And so one of the goals is, we've talked about it, is with the feminist blog, is to create kind of a safe space for getting those conversations started and having those conversations on a college campus that's a little more protected than having to raise your hand in a classroom or speak up in a student organization. And so some of the anonymity, right, that comes with blogging under a pseudonym, or taking the time to sit quietly in your room and look into an idea and write out your thoughts and develop your ideas, gives you a chance to figure out where maybe you stand on an issue, and then to give voice to that on the college campus where you might not have other opportunities or feel comfortable doing that in the face-to-face.
I think anonymity is a great thing to have, because from being on the JMU campus, it's very safe. It's a very safe space. And I've had conversations, with you. I'm just like, I want to do a YouTube video, and I think this will be great. And you're like, that's your face, and that's everything that comes back to you. And it's one of the things that you forget because I'm in a feminist group, I'm in feminist classes, I'm in a very small community that is very accepting, and you forget, it's easy to forget that the real world is not nearly as receptive.
Right, that there might be a much larger backlash from the community at large.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so I think an important part of this, of the feminist blogging, is thinking about how we encourage students to develop a voice and a feminist consciousness and an activist orientation to getting out there, while also trying to set you up to protect yourself a little bit and to be prepared for those larger interactions.